Welcome back to the Blue North. I'd like to talk a little bit about the soon to be released documents that showcase that there was zero proof that Donald Trump and his team had worked with the Russians and that the Mueller report was a waste of taxpayers' money and time. But why did they wait so long? Why did they waste so much money and efforts and everything else? Because they wanted to so desperately destroy all of the good that was coming out of the Trump presidency. Every time he got a win, every time it looked like he was building a stronger economy, every time it looked like he was going to make the unemployment go down further and further and further. Then it got to record levels. They really had to amp up their efforts to try and destroy this man and his presidency, because in 4 years there was going to be absolutely no way they could do it. So they were interviewing like 53 people and they came up zero, no evidence. There was nothing leading or pointing towards a Russian collusion with Trump's team. So why push it? It was just to brainwash Americans, just to be able to use every mainstream media outlet to say that they had the proof, that the proof was there, they were going to get him. And they really, they put that narrative out there. Adam Schiff put that narrative out there every day, saying that the evidence was visible. There was a lot of evidence that was right there, tangible evidence showcasing that Trump's team worked with the Russians. And now we're seeing that these papers are going to be released. They're going to be declassified and redacted, and everybody's going to be able to see them. And we're seeing that there was nothing. They knew there was nothing, and it was all just a big sham so that the American people could hear it daily on the mainstream media, day in and day out, that this is the final coffin. This is the walls are closing in. So they had these I guess it was talking points, Democrat talking points, and they were pushing this to the mainstream media, and the mainstream media was pushing it to the American people. And we're seeing that this is deception. This is treason almost. If you look at the description of treason, this Democrat led by Adam Schiff and all of them, just trying to smear and destroy the campaign, or not just the campaign, but the presidency of Donald Trump. Now, they went ahead and they did get what they were looking for. They did get a impeachment of Donald Trump, but it was on such weak and brutal circumstances, and it showcased a lack of real, you know, he's being impeached for a phone call, whereas Joe Biden was not impeached or in trouble, and the Democrats didn't think it was worrisome that he's bragging about withholding $1 billion because his son was being investigated. Investigated. There had to be something wrong if you're being investigated. So Biden withheld $1 billion of aid to the Ukraine to get his son out of trouble. Trump made a phone call and they wanted to impeach him. So we're seeing this real double standard, and we also see the double standard right now with Joe Biden, um, and Tara Reade's sexual allegation against him. But the mainstream media just doesn't want to talk about any of the negative things that the Democrats are doing. So much like right now, when these transcripts come out about these interviews with Donald Jr. and all of these other people, when it showcases that the Mueller report was a complete and utter waste of American taxpayers' money, and there was a waste of time, and it was all done just so the mainstream media could push a narrative and have Democrat talking points so that they could push what they're trying to say. When this all comes out, this is not going to be good for Joe Biden's team. This is not going to be good in an election year where we see that this is all the American, or sorry, all that the Democrats were working on was misleading Americans. And then you're going to go to the polls and expect them to trust you to be better in office than what Donald Trump has shown. Donald Trump has overcome all of the obstacles that were left for him from the Obama failed policies, 8 years of Obama's failed policies. He had to change all of that, but he had to change all of that while he was being continuously attacked for every single thing, even those things that the Democrats knew that wasn't happening. They knew that there was no Russian collusion, but Hillary Clinton and the Democrats were working so hard behind the scenes to try and destroy him so that they could get back that power that they didn't earn, that the Americans didn't want them to have. But here we see that the Democrats didn't like what the results were, and they were pushing to get rid of what the American people voted in legally. So we're just getting more evidence of that. We have Joe Biden, who himself is suffering from mental illness of some sort. We're seeing that he's really having a hard time focusing on any kind of thought process, putting thoughts together, sentences together. And he's really, really coming apart at the seams. And then with the sexual allegation of Tara Reid, we're seeing him be lost for answers. Mika from Morning Joe on MSNBC was asking him questions and he had no answer. And a lot of it, he was just silent. And then he was asking her, like, well, who would do that research? Who would search my Delaware University, the University of Delaware's files? Who would search for Tara Reid's name? And then she was like, well, you would have to put together a team. You could see that he doesn't understand. And then this is my favorite part. Those files at the University of Delaware, those files, he said, what he was promised that those files would not come out until he was done seeking public office. And it's to do with him and other world leaders. So if you're afraid of those files, what did you do or say, or what did you, like, what mistakes did you make that you're afraid of, that you will not allow to come out while you're seeking public office? And who does that? That is the opposite of transparency. When you're calling for transparency and you are going after Bloomberg for transparency and everything else, here you are hiding files at the University of Delaware that contain your dealings, your actual dealings as vice. These are crucial to what you do when you're in office. These files are so good for the voter. They should be out. They shouldn't be hidden from the voters. This is what you did as the vice president. This is what you did when you were in power. So this is what the American people could really utilize to showcase whether or not they want to go back to that and how he handled himself. This is basically like a report card of how he did in office. So now those are being hid from people. And also the Tara Reid complaint is being hid from people. So why is it that the candidate that's calling for the most transparency from everybody else is the one with the most to hide? That's what we're seeing with Joe Biden. So is Joe Biden going to be the actual candidate for the Democrats in this election? We're not sure. He hasn't been completely selected yet. He hasn't been given the green light. He hasn't picked a running mate. And you have to wonder why at this point has he not come forward with a running mate? Why is he waiting? It's already May and the election is in the fall. You would think by now that he would have picked his running mate so that the two of them could build a team together. But I think the Democrats are working behind the scenes to really damage report. He's doing a lot of gaffes. He seems to be having a little bit of mental illness. Even Joe Rogan is talking about it on the Joe Rogan Experience. And then we're seeing that these files in the university are kind of like a cloud over his head. And there's just one thing after another coming out that showcases that this can't be the best candidate to put up against the president, that has done so much in such a short period of time. So, what does Donald Trump get? Does he get the same softball, underhand pitched questions that Joe Biden's getting from the mainstream media? No. He's getting the absolute least amount of integrity questions that I've ever seen in my life. Never in my life have I seen a reporter go to the White House and ask if a president should be able to run that has had more people die on his watch than in Vietnam. He didn't create the COVID-19 pandemic, and he locked down the city when the Democrats were calling for everybody to get out and share and enjoy and do the absolute opposite of what Trump was saying. So the Democrats, so blinded by their hatred for Trump, have really told everybody to go out and spread this disease. So if you look at the two, one has been working to nonstop, been working to try and to ban travel. He was trying to get hydroxyoxyquin to try. He was trying it. He was willing to try it. It turns out it does help. It does make a huge difference. The FDA were telling physicians to actually prescribe it to COVID-19 sufferers. So Trump has been trying so desperately. He's been trying and being optimistic. And now the mainstream media working with the Democrats, giving him the softest questions possible, but sending other members of their journalist team, and I say journalist very loosely, and sending them to the White House to ask the dumbest, most ridiculous questions. So Trump's handling those questions, Trump's answering those questions, Trump's making those reporters actually sorry they asked those questions with some of his responses. And yet he's still running the country. He's still handling the COVID-19, and he has to worry about Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and all of the other Democrats doing this underhanded attack day in and day out against him. And my gosh, that would have to be the most exhausting thing that I couldn't even imagine a day in Donald Trump's shoes. Not just the presidency, not just the pressure of the presidency, not just the fact that he has to deal with a pandemic, not the fact that he has the Democrats are gunning for him, not just that. He has the mainstream media, social media memes, these people that create the memes, but they're just the most underhanded attacks that I have ever seen in my life. And this pressure, you must really have to love your country to put yourself through that on a daily basis when you see how absolutely low the Democrats are coming in with all of these things that they gave Hillary the questions to the debates. He still beat her. But right from the time he decided to run for president, he has had people mocking him. He's had the Democrats doing the most underhanded things possible. Everybody fearful of what he was able to accomplish, and he's doing it. The reason they were fearful is because they knew he was capable of doing what he has done. So now he's got a little bit of momentum because he's got the 4 years behind him. He gets elected again this fall. He has 4 more years. The Democrats will definitely work to impeach him a second time. What will it be? It might be the color of his tie. It might be something ridiculous. We don't know what it's going to be the second time around. But I bet you any money that Donald Trump is the first double impeached president ever in the history of the United States. And they'll both be on the most ridiculous, underhanded, low down, useless thing with no proof. And the Democrats, hopefully the Democrats don't have control of the House. Hopefully they don't have the control of the Senate or the House. Hopefully they've been given an absolute thrashing in this next election, because it has to be. These people have to be given some sort of comeuppance. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Maxine Waters, AOC, the list goes on and on. Adam Schiff. These people have done nothing to accomplish anything. The only thing they have tried for so desperately is to destroy a man that's actually doing the most for the country that they swear they love. So in the next election, I hope the American people are keen to what's going on. I hope they see with the release of these files that what Adam Schiff and Nadler and Pelosi and all of these people are capable of, the underhanded ridiculousness that they are capable of. And I just hope that there's a thrashing in this next election. So I'll be watching, I'll be keeping track, and hopefully I'll be able to do a podcast and a YouTube video showcasing just where the American people decided they've had enough. So stay tuned for more podcasts on the Blue North.